What if the forces reshaping our world forever are not unfolding in secret labs, but rising in plain sight as megaprojects so unseen, so unreal, they once felt impossible? The first surprise comes from China, where an engineering system stretches for more than 2,700 miles in total, lifting, channeling, and redirecting entire rivers through the South-North Water Transfer Project, a scale so vast it rivals natural waterways and quietly redefines what control over water truly means. The next moment of disbelief rises in the United States as a colossal black pyramid cuts into the desert skyline, the Luxor Hotel and Casino transforming ancient geometry into a modern illusion, its sharp edges and glowing summit turning architecture into spectacle against an unforgiving environment. The tension peaks in Hong Kong, where highways collide and spiral at dizzying heights, the Tsing-Yi interchange becoming a high-speed labyrinth of concrete and steel, a place engineered on the edge of danger, where millions of vehicles move daily through a system that leaves no room for error. These are not isolated wonders. They are mega projects that bend nature, challenge physics, and expose how fragile and powerful human ambition can be at the same time. In this documentary, we uncover the science, risks, and bold ideas behind the projects changing the world forever, revealing how the impossible is rapidly becoming reality before our eyes. Harbin Ice and Snow World. How do you build an entire city in just a few weeks when it is designed not to last, but to disappear by intention? Each winter in northern China, Harbin Ice and Snow World rises from the frozen edge of the Songhua River, turning extreme cold into the core material of one of the most ambitious seasonal mega projects on Earth. Spreading across hundreds of acres, the park becomes a temporary metropolis of ice, where palaces, towers, and monumental gateways are carved entirely from crystal-clear blocks extracted directly from the river. When winter temperatures plunge below -20 degrees Fahrenheit, the Songhua freezes to depths exceeding 3 feet, strong enough to carry heavy machinery across its surface. From this frozen platform, workers harvest millions of cubic feet of ice, cutting the river into tens of thousands of blocks, each weighing several tons before transporting them to the site. Construction unfolds at extraordinary speed, with thousands of workers operating day and night, stacking, sculpting, and spraying water between layers so each structure bonds and freezes like natural concrete. In just a few weeks, ice towers rise beyond 100 feet, standing purely through physics, temperature, and precision timing. As darkness falls, advanced LED systems ignite the frozen city, transforming solid ice into glowing architecture that can be seen from miles away. Each season, millions of visitors arrive from around the world, walking through streets of ice, climbing frozen stairways, and witnessing a city that exists only briefly in time. Then, without demolition or waste to clear away, spring arrives. As temperatures rise, the entire megaproject melts back into the river, completing a full architectural life cycle exactly as designed. Harbin Ice and Snow World is not just a festival, but a full-scale experiment in climate, speed, and impermanence, proving that even a city can be designed with an ending written into its blueprint. Luxor Hotel and Casino. How does a desert city built on illusion turn architecture into a scientific spectacle visible from the edge of space? Rising along the Las Vegas Strip, the Luxor Hotel and Casino announces itself not with height alone, but with pure geometry. A black glass pyramid standing 350 feet tall against the Nevada desert. Inside, the structure conceals one of the largest enclosed atriums on Earth, a cavernous interior space so immense it reshapes how volume is experienced within a single building. Beyond its scale, the interior functions like a self-contained city, housing thousands of hotel rooms, theaters, restaurants, and entertainment venues engineered to manage massive crowds day and night. At night, the pyramid becomes a beacon, projecting the Luxor sky beam from its apex, one of the most powerful artificial light sources ever created, visible from more than 200 miles away under ideal conditions. This beam is not symbolic lighting, but a precisely engineered column of concentrated light that transforms the sky itself into part of the architecture. Movement inside defies convention, as elevators travel diagonally along the sloped walls rather than vertically, forcing engineers to rethink gravity, balance, and human perception. Even the dark glass exterior posed scientific challenges, absorbing extreme desert heat and prompting later design adjustments to reduce environmental impact. More than a hotel or casino, the Luxor stands as a living experiment in scale, optics, and human attention, revealing how architecture, physics, and spectacle can merge to shape the identity of an entire city. Thames Barrier stands as a quiet question stretching across the River Thames, How do you protect a historic capital from a sea that refuses to stay in its place? Rising in eastern London, this flood defense system spans roughly 1,700 feet, forming one of the largest movable tidal barriers ever built. Its design centers on 10 massive steel gates that rest invisibly on the riverbed, allowing ships to pass freely through the heart of the city when the barrier is open. Each gate towers about 60 feet high and weighs thousands of tons, engineered to rotate upward from the river floor and seal off surging tides from the North Sea. When activated, the transformation is dramatic. Within approximately 90 minutes, the flowing Thames becomes a controlled wall of water, shielding London from storm surges that once caused devastating floods. Originally designed to close only a few times each year, the barrier has been raised far more often than early planners predicted, a silent indicator of rising sea levels and accelerating climate change. More than a feat of mechanics, the Thames Barrier represents a rare balance between nature and engineering, standing watch where a powerful river, a changing climate, and a fragile, historic city collide. Qingyi Interchange asks a simple but dangerous question. How do you force order into chaos when a global city runs out of space but never slows down? At the western gateway of Hong Kong, this interchange rises as a vertical solution to a horizontal problem, transforming a steep, crowded island into one of the most critical transportation nodes in the region. Completed in the late 1990s, the system links expressways, sea-crossing bridges, and tunnels leading directly to the international airport, turning Qingyi into a non-stop conduit between city, sky, and ocean. Here, highways do not merely intersect. They stack, twist, and separate across multiple elevations, allowing traffic to move simultaneously without a single dangerous crossing in a space where expansion is nearly impossible. More than infrastructure, Qingyi Interchange reveals how scientific planning and precision engineering can adapt to extreme geography, keeping a dense port city moving safely through a landscape that never stops pushing back. Kiel Canal, connecting the North Sea and the Baltic Sea, functions as one of the most quietly powerful pieces of infrastructure in modern Europe. Running for roughly 61 miles across northern Germany, this man-made passage allows ships to bypass the long route around the Scandinavian peninsula. That shortcut can reduce a single journey by several hundred miles, translating into major savings in fuel, time, and operational risk for global shipping fleets. The canal is dredged to a depth of about 36 feet, wide and deep enough for container ships, cruise vessels, and large military ships to travel safely in both directions. Every year, tens of thousands of vessels move through this narrow corridor, making it the busiest artificial canal on Earth by traffic volume rather than length. Beyond commerce, the canal holds strategic weight, allowing naval forces to shift rapidly between two seas without entering open waters, a capability refined over more than 100 years of upgrades. As ships grew larger, the canal evolved with them, repeatedly widened and strengthened to handle vessels weighing tens of thousands of tons. Today, Kiel Canal demonstrates how a megaproject can remain relevant for generations, quietly compressing geography and reshaping the movement of an entire continent. South-North Water Transfer Project. How far would humanity go to move an entire river system when nature no longer cooperates with civilization? The South-North Water Transfer Project is one of the most ambitious infrastructure experiments ever attempted, designed to correct a massive water imbalance between southern and northern China by reshaping geography itself. This vast network consists of 3 monumental water routes, stretching more than 2,700 miles in total, carrying life-sustaining water from the Yangtze River Basin towards some of the driest and most densely populated regions in the north. At the heart of the system, the central route relies almost entirely on gravity, allowing water to flow naturally along precise elevation gradients, a feat of topographic calculation achieved with minimal pumping. Each year, the project transports tens of billions of cubic feet of water, enough to support megacities, heavy industry, and agricultural zones under constant demand. Along its journey, water passes through mountains, across major rivers, and beneath complex geological formations using canals, tunnels, and elevated aqueducts engineered at continental scale. To protect water quality, long sections are fully isolated from surrounding communities and farmland, forming artificial water corridors that stretch for hundreds of miles without interruption. More than an engineering project, the South-North Water Transfer Project reveals how modern society is beginning to redesign natural systems themselves, proving that on a planetary scale, survival may depend on our ability to move water where history never intended it to flow. Vasco da Gama Bridge. How do you build a bridge where history, geology, and the full force of the Atlantic collide at the edge of a capital city. Stretching across the vast mouth of the Tagus River, the Vasco da Gama Bridge feels less like a simple crossing and more like a scientific negotiation between land, water, and time itself. Extending for nearly 12 miles, it stands as the longest bridge in Europe, so expansive that drivers can watch Lisbon fade from view long before reaching the opposite shore. Constructed in a region shaped by devastating earthquakes, the bridge was engineered to endure seismic forces comparable to Portugal's most destructive historical events. Its primary support pillars are driven more than 200 feet into the riverbed, anchoring the structure against erosion, shifting sediments, and the relentless push of Atlantic tides. Above the water, the bridge is designed to withstand winds exceeding 150 miles per hour, far beyond the intensity of typical European storms. Completed in the late 1990s, the project transformed infrastructure into a symbol of national resilience, easing congestion in Lisbon while opening vast new areas for urban expansion to the east. More than concrete and steel, the Vasco da Gama Bridge demonstrates how modern engineering can confront extreme geography and historical risk, reshaping how a coastal city survives and moves along the Atlantic frontier. Turning torso. How do you turn a frozen moment of motion into a building people can actually live inside? Rising along the waterfront of Malmö, Turning Torso stands as Sweden's most daring architectural experiment, a residential skyscraper that transforms a sculptural idea into a functioning vertical city. Once the tallest building in Scandinavia, the tower climbs to 623 feet, its silhouette twisting steadily against the Baltic sky. From base to crown, the structure rotates a full 90 degrees, creating the illusion of a human torso caught mid-movement, frozen between balance and momentum. The building is divided into 9 stacked cubic sections, each one subtly rotated from the last, a design that demanded extreme engineering precision to resist powerful coastal winds. All structural loads are transferred through a reinforced concrete core, working in tandem with an external steel framework that stabilizes the twist without restraining it. More than a landmark, it proves that science and architecture can defy gravity, climate, and convention, turning motion itself into a permanent home on the modern skyline. The Gherkin. Rising from the dense financial core of London, the Gherkin is more than a striking silhouette on the skyline. Completed in the early years of the 21st century, the tower reaches approximately 590 feet, yet its aerodynamic, tapering form allows it to behave less like a conventional skyscraper and more like a carefully tuned instrument responding to wind, light, and heat. Engineers discovered that the curved profile could reduce wind loads by nearly 1/3, allowing the structure to use significantly less steel than a traditional rectangular tower of similar height. Its spiraling glass facade is not decorative alone. It creates a series of pressure differences that drive natural ventilation through multiple levels, cutting energy consumption by an estimated half compared to typical office towers of its era. The building's skin is assembled from thousands of triangular and diamond-shaped panels, almost none of them identical, turning geometry into a construction challenge solved through digital modeling rather than repetition. Inside, the absence of internal columns opens uninterrupted views across London, while circular floor plates ensure no two levels feel the same. At the summit, a deliberately open crown functions as a thermal chimney, allowing warm air to rise and escape without mechanical fans. Over time, the Gherkin proved that an urban icon could emerge from environmental logic as much as visual ambition, quietly reshaping how high-rise architecture engages with climate, physics, and the city around it. Bosco Verticale rises in the heart of Milan as a living experiment in how cities might grow upward without abandoning nature. The project consists of two residential towers standing approximately 360 feet and 250 feet tall, yet their true scale is measured in leaves rather than floors. More than 2,000 trees, along with tens of thousands of shrubs and plants, are anchored to reinforced balconies, creating the equivalent of a forest spread across several acres, but lifted into the sky. This vertical vegetation absorbs carbon dioxide, filters fine dust from the air, and lowers surface temperatures by several degrees Fahrenheit, forming a self-regulating microclimate around the buildings. Each balcony is engineered to support loads weighing multiple tons, accounting for soil, mature trees, wind forces, and seasonal changes in moisture. Inside, residents experience shifting light, shade, and seasonal color as the vegetation changes throughout the year, turning architecture into a slow-moving environmental system. Completed after years of structural testing and botanical research, Bosco Verticale demonstrates that high-rise housing can function as an extension of the landscape, redefining what sustainable urban living can look like in the vertical age. Velluamere Aqueduct challenges the most basic assumption of transportation design by letting water cross over a road instead of the other way around. Located in the Netherlands, this structure slices through Lake Velluamere, carrying boats calmly overhead while cars pass beneath through a submerged roadway only a few hundred feet long. The water channel above spans roughly 60 feet in width and reaches nearly 10 feet in depth, enough for small ships and leisure yachts to glide continuously without stopping. Unlike drawbridges or locks, this inverted crossing allows uninterrupted movement, eliminating delays that can stretch for tens of minutes during peak traffic. From an engineering perspective, the aqueduct relies on reinforced concrete walls thick enough to withstand water loads weighing thousands of tons, while remaining compact in a landscape where land sits barely above sea level. The road below is sealed like a short tunnel, protected from seepage and pressure through layered waterproofing systems refined over decades of Dutch hydraulic expertise. More than a curiosity, the Velluamere Aqueduct reflects how the Netherlands reshapes geography with precision, proving that even in a country defined by water, infrastructure can flow in unexpected directions. Burj Khalifa rises from the desert like a calibrated experiment in gravity, rewriting the ceiling of human construction and the logic behind extreme height. The tower reaches 2,716 feet, making it the tallest structure ever completed, where air pressure, temperature, and wind behave very differently than at ground level. Its distinctive Y-shaped footprint is not aesthetic alone. It disperses wind vortices, reducing lateral forces that intensify beyond 1,000 feet above the sand. At the core, a massive reinforced concrete spine works with high-strength steel to manage loads measuring hundreds of thousands of tons, while daily temperature swings of dozens of degrees Fahrenheit stretch and contract the skin of the building. Inside, high-speed elevators travel hundreds of feet in seconds, compressing vertical distance into routine movement for residents and visitors. Burj Khalifa stands not just as a landmark, but as a vertical laboratory proving how physics, climate, and ambition can be engineered into a single, slender form. City of Arts and Sciences rises from the former riverbed of the Turia in Valencia, as a futuristic complex where science, art, and engineering merge into a single urban experiment. Stretching across more than 2 million square feet, the ensemble includes museums, performance halls, and public spaces shaped by sweeping curves rather than straight lines. Many structures span hundreds of feet without conventional supports, relying on reinforced concrete shells and steel ribs calculated to distribute weight like a skeletal system. The complex sits within a shallow water landscape covering dozens of acres, using reflection not as decoration, but as a visual amplifier that doubles the perceived scale of the architecture. Inside the Science Museum, exhibition halls rise over 100 feet high, allowing full-scale installations that demonstrate gravity, motion, and energy in physical space. City of Arts and Sciences shows how an entire district can function as a living laboratory, where architecture itself becomes an instrument for exploring physics, perception, and the future of cities. Dubai Fountain sits at the base of Burj Khalifa, where engineering turns water into a living performance on the surface of a man-made lake. The fountain system stretches roughly 900 feet in length, making it the largest choreographed fountain ever built. Jets of water can surge upward to nearly 500 feet, matching the height of a 50-story building and briefly rewriting the skyline with liquid architecture. More than thousands of high-powered nozzles work in coordination, each capable of changing direction and pressure in fractions of a second. At night, over tens of thousands of lights illuminate the spray, while a surround sound system projects music across the waterfront, synchronizing rhythm with motion. Dubai Fountain demonstrates how physics, fluid dynamics, and digital control systems can transform a simple element into a global landmark and a shared public spectacle of the modern city. Lotte World Tower rises above the Seoul skyline as a vertical statement of South Korea's engineering ambition. The tower reaches approximately 1,819 feet, making it the tallest building in the country and one of the highest ever constructed worldwide. Its slender, gently tapering silhouette is shaped by aerodynamic logic, reducing wind pressure and structural vibration at extreme altitudes. Inside, the building functions as a stacked city, combining offices, residences, a luxury hotel, and an observation deck positioned more than 1,700 feet above ground. Lotte World Tower is not only a skyline icon, but a scientific demonstration of how modern materials, seismic engineering, and vertical design converge in the 21st century. La Seine Musicale sits on Seguin Island in the middle of the River Seine, where Paris experiments with what a 21st century performance venue can become. The complex is wrapped in a glass and metal shell, spanning tens of thousands of square feet, enclosing a concert hall engineered for symphonic precision rather than spectacle alone. Its most striking feature is a vast solar sail, weighing hundreds of tons, that slowly rotates to follow the sun, turning the building itself into a moving energy machine. By producing a significant share of its own power while hosting world-class performances, La Seine Musicale demonstrates how cultural architecture can merge acoustics, renewable energy, and urban geography into a single living system. Elbphilharmonie Hamburg rises along the Elbe River as one of Europe's most striking concert halls, where industrial history meets futuristic design. The structure reaches approximately 360 feet, built directly atop a former brick warehouse, while a sculpted glass crown above ripples like frozen waves. Inside, the main concert hall uses an advanced acoustic shell made from tens of thousands of uniquely shaped panels, allowing sound to travel evenly to every seat without amplification. The curved glass facade reflects sky, water, and weather, making the building appear to shift its identity throughout the day. More than a performance venue, Elbphilharmonie demonstrates how architecture, physics, and music can merge into a single global cultural landmark. The Oslo Opera House sits at the edge of Oslo's harbor as a cultural landmark that deliberately erases the boundary between building and public space. Spreading across tens of thousands of square feet, its sloping white stone roof rises gently from the water, allowing visitors to walk upward as if crossing a civic plaza rather than entering a theater. Inside, the main auditorium is shaped with curved wooden surfaces, engineered to guide sound with precision measured down to individual inches, ensuring clarity without electronic amplification. The Oslo Opera House reflects a Nordic philosophy where architecture becomes something to inhabit physically, blending science, acoustics, and everyday urban life into one seamless experience. Dubai's skyline has risen from open desert in less than a single generation, reshaping what the modern horizon can look like. The city now contains dozens of towers exceeding 1,000 feet, crowned by Burj Khalifa at 2,716 feet, a vertical marker visible from miles away. These skyscrapers are engineered to survive temperatures above 100 degrees Fahrenheit, intense solar radiation, and powerful winds sweeping in from the Persian Gulf. Heat-reflective facades, vibration damping systems, and high-performance concrete allow extreme height to exist in extreme climate. What was once a low-port city has rapidly transformed into a global symbol of super-tall ambition, proving how engineering, capital, and speed can redraw a skyline almost overnight. Yas Marina Circuit sits on Yas Island in Abu Dhabi as one of the most technologically advanced Formula One tracks ever built. Stretching roughly 3.4 miles, the circuit weaves through more than 20 turns, engineered to force rapid shifts between high-speed straights and heavy braking zones. What sets it apart is timing. Races begin in daylight and end under nightfall, as a full lighting system gradually replaces the setting sun, bathing the track in artificial daylight. One section runs directly beneath the glowing steel and glass structure of the Yas Hotel, where cars pass at extreme speed just feet below illuminated architecture. Yas Marina Circuit transforms motorsport into a controlled experiment in speed, light, and precision engineering. Marina One rises in the heart of Singapore's financial district as a high-density megastructure organized around a hidden tropical forest. Four towers encircle a central green space spanning tens of thousands of square feet, planted with hundreds of tree and plant species layered across terraces and cascading waterfalls. This inward-facing landscape lowers ambient temperatures, boosts natural airflow, and creates a self-sustaining microclimate within one of the world's most humid cities. Stepped facades channel daylight and wind deep into the complex, reducing reliance on mechanical cooling. Marina One demonstrates how super-tall architecture can be designed not against nature, but structured entirely around it. TWA Flight Center Hotel stands inside New York's John F. Kennedy International Airport as a revived icon from the golden age of jet travel. The central terminal, shaped like a pair of wings frozen in motion, was engineered to express speed, flight, and optimism at the dawn of the aviation era. Today it connects to two modern hotel wings offering hundreds of rooms, each fully soundproof to withstand aircraft noise from runways only a few hundred feet away. Inside, sweeping curves, sunken lounges, and panoramic runway views preserve the original spatial drama of mid-century design. The project proves that historic architecture can be technically upgraded and repurposed without losing the identity that once defined an entire era of global travel. Hong Kong's skyline rises along Victoria Harbour as one of the most compressed and instantly recognizable urban horizons on Earth. Dozens of towers climb beyond 1,000 feet, packed tightly between steep mountains and open water, forcing the city to grow vertically rather than outward. Many buildings follow feng shui principles, leaving deliberate gaps that allow wind and symbolic energy to flow from the hills toward the sea. After sunset, synchronized lighting transforms the waterfront into a luminous ribbon stretching several miles across the harbor. This skyline reveals how extreme geography, cultural belief, and engineering pressure can combine to push architecture straight into the sky. Louvre Lens emerges in northern France as a cultural landmark built on land once carved open by coal mining. The museum spreads across tens of thousands of square feet, composed of low, horizontal volumes made from glass and polished aluminum that mirror the sky and surrounding landscape. Instead of dominating its site, the architecture dissolves into it, transforming an industrial scar into open civic ground. At its core, the Gallery of Time unfolds history across thousands of years within a single continuous hall, allowing visitors to move freely through eras without walls or hierarchy. Louvre Lens demonstrates how architecture, history, and urban renewal can align to reshape the identity of a former industrial region. King Abdulaziz Center for World Culture rises in Dhahran like a geological formation shaped by both desert winds and human ambition. The complex spans hundreds of thousands of square feet, formed from sculptural steel volumes that appear stacked and eroded, echoing nearby rock outcrops. Its stainless steel skin reflects intense desert light, while limiting heat gain in temperatures that often exceed 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Built near one of the world's most energy-rich regions, the center symbolizes a shift from oil beneath the ground to ideas above it, using architecture as a bridge between Saudi heritage and global culture. Statue of Unity towers beside the Narmada River as a feat of scale where geology, history, and engineering converge. Rising nearly 600 feet, the monument more than doubles the total height of the Statue of Liberty, allowing it to be seen from several miles away across plains and reservoirs. Inside, a lattice of steel and reinforced concrete is engineered to withstand winds exceeding 100 miles per hour and seismic forces common to central India. Over thousands of copper panels were digitally modeled, cast, and aligned to maintain human proportions at colossal scale. Built in a region shaped by rivers and tectonic movement, the statue demonstrates how modern structural science can anchor memory into landscape, transforming national history into a landmark visible from the sky. Slunnik salt mine lies deep beneath the hills of Romania, where geology has quietly shaped human history for centuries. Carved more than 600 feet below the surface, this former industrial mine opens into vast underground chambers, soaring up to 100 feet high, large enough to host sports courts, playgrounds, and cultural exhibitions. The air maintains a stable mix of low humidity and fine salt particles, a microclimate long associated with respiratory therapy and now attracting visitors year-round. Walls cut in precise geometric patterns reveal layers of ancient seabed formed millions of years ago. By turning extraction voids into public space, Slunnik transforms deep earth science into a living environment where health, history, and landscape converge underground. Dongdaemun Design Plaza expand the influence of one of Seoul's most futuristic landmarks at the very center of the city. The extension continues the signature language of flowing curves and seamless surfaces, spreading across tens of thousands of square feet of public space, clad in softly reflective metal panels. These zones are engineered for flexibility, shifting effortlessly between fashion shows, exhibitions, and large-scale cultural events that operate day and night. The extension demonstrates how a complex architectural icon can grow organically, adapting to new urban demands without breaking the design logic that made it globally recognizable. Taklamakan Desert rises across the remote northwest of China as one of the most unforgiving landscapes ever mapped by humans. Spanning roughly 130,000 square miles, this immense basin of sand is shaped by dunes towering beyond 300 feet, shifting constantly under powerful desert winds. Seasonal temperatures swing to extremes, soaring above 120 degrees Fahrenheit in summer and dropping below 0 degrees Fahrenheit during winter nights. Despite its reputation as a land impossible to cross, the desert once bordered key routes of the ancient Silk Road, where isolated oases allowed trade to survive at the edge of collapse. Today, the Taklamakan serves as a natural laboratory, helping scientists study climate systems, desert geology, and how human civilization adapts when pushed to the very limits of survival.